Hey Pathfinders, it's PBE time. I never had PBE when I was a Pathfinder, so I'm trying to get involved now. And the book of James is one of the books that you're studying for PBE, and so I just wanted to take a couple of minutes really to break down the main takeaways in James chapter 1. And one of the first points that James launches off with is about faith and growth. And he says, anything rough that you go through, any trials that you go through, count it all joy. And that sounds counterintuitive, because how can I count the trials as joy? How can I count the knockbacks as joy? Not getting the grades I wanted, not getting into the uni I wanted to get into, not getting the job, not even getting the job interview. How can I count those things as joy? Well, James is saying that your trials make you stronger, basically the same way that exercise makes you stronger. So if you're doing push-ups or if you're pushing weights, you can't grow and get bigger unless you're pushing against something heavy. And that makes the muscles break down a little bit, and then the body repairs them bigger and stronger. No pain, no gain. It's basically the same principle with faith. The trials in life are the things that make your faith become bigger and better as you push against them. They help you trust God more, and they make you a stronger, more rounded person. And this is what James is saying. So when we go through these trials, the trials we can count as joy because we know that they're going to produce a positive fruit in our lives. So the next section we can call poverty and riches. And this is super relevant for us now because we're just always bombarded with images on social media of people who look like they're just totally balling out of control. And James is saying here, don't worry if you don't have a lot of money, because the rich person, not every rich person, but the rich person specifically who flaunts it in your face, at some stage, he says, they're going to wither like a flower in the hot sun while you will be raised up and you will prosper. So don't worry, your time will come. Then James moves on to a part where he talks about trial and temptation, and he basically tells us that when you're exposed to a temptation, whatever that might be, and you feel weak and you feel vulnerable, let's not get confused and think that God has created this temptation to trip us up, because that's not what's happening here, and that's not what God ever wants to see. James tells us that the temptation stems from inside of us, but God is calling us to kind of wrestle with ourselves and to stand strong, and then you can be proud of yourself when you don't give into any particular temptation. And what's more, God is super proud of you too. And finally, James makes clear that there is a big difference between a hearer and a doer. So he says that some people who hear the word of God and they don't act on it, they're just basically kidding themselves. It's like someone who looks at themselves in a mirror and then walks away and, oh no, I've forgotten. They can't remember what they look like. A person like that, you'd really have to ask yourself, were they really actually looking at themselves, or are they just a dreamer? Because that's not really reality. And so God is calling us not just to hear the word, but to be doers of the word, people of action. And I guess this is a really relevant point for us to end on. Learning the book of James for PBE is great, but there's no point learning it just for the sake of it, even if it wins you a competition. What you really want is to learn in a way that then enables you to become a doer, a servant of God and a friend to man. See, I told you I used to be a Pathfinder. Hope this was useful, and I'll catch you next time.